You are listening to the audio production of Thomas Wingfold, Curate, Volume 1, by George Macdonald, published by Audiobooks and read by Simon Bubb. Chapter 1. Helen Lingard. A swift, grey November wind had taken every chimney of the house for an organ pipe, and was roaring in them all at once, quelling the more distant and varied noises of the woods, which moaned and surged like a sea. Helen Lingard had not been out all day. The morning indeed had been fine, but she had been writing a long letter to her brother Leopold at Cambridge, and had put off her walk in the neighbouring park till after luncheon, and in the meantime the wind had risen, and brought with it a haze that threatened rain. She was in admirable health, had never had a day's illness in her life, was hardly more afraid of getting wet than a young farmer, and enjoyed wind, especially when she was on horseback. Yet, as she stood looking from her window, across a balcony where shivered more than one autumnal plant that ought to have been removed a week ago, out upon the old-fashioned garden and meadows beyond, where each lonely tree bowed with drifting garments, I was going to say like a suppliant, but it was away from its storming enemy, she did not feel inclined to go out. That she was healthy was no reason why she should be unimpressible, any more than that good temper should be a reason for indifference to the behaviour of one's friend. She always felt happier in a new dress when it was made to her mind and fitted her body, and when the sun shone she was lighter-hearted than when it rained. I had written merrier, but Helen was seldom merry, and had she been made aware of the fact and questioned why, would have answered, because she so seldom saw reason. She was what all her friends called a sensible girl, but, as I say, that was no reason why she should be an insensible girl as well, and be subject to none of the influences of the weather. She did feel those influences, and therefore it was that she turned away from the window with the sense, rather than the conviction, that the fireside in her own room was rendered even more attractive by the unfriendly aspect of things outside and the roar in the chimney, which happily was not accompanied by a change in the current of the smoke. The hours between luncheon and tea are confessedly dull, but dullness is not inimical to a certain kind of comfort, and Helen liked to be that way comfortable. Nor had she ever yet been aware of self-rebuke because of the liking. Let us see what kind and degree of comfort she had in the course of an hour and a half attained, and in discovering this I shall be able to present her to my reader with a little more circumstance. She sat before the fire in a rather masculine posture. I would not willingly be rude, but the fact remains, a posture in which she would not, I think, have sat for her photograph, leaning back in a chintz-covered easy-chair, all the lines of direction about her parallel with the lines of the chair, her arms lying on its arms, and the fingers of each hand folded down over the end of each arm. Square, straight, right-angled, gazing into the fire, with something of the look of a sage, but one who has made no discovery. She had just finished the novel of the day, and was suffering a mild reaction, the milder, perhaps, that she was not altogether satisfied with the consummation, for the heroine had, after much sorrow and patient endurance, at length married a man whom she could not help knowing to be not worth having. For the author even knew it, only such was his reading of life and such his theory of artistic duty, that what it was a disappointment to Helen to peruse, it seemed to have been a comfort to him to write. Indeed, her dissatisfaction went so far that, although the fire kept burning away in perfect content before her, enhanced by the bellowing complaint of the wind in the chimney, she yet came nearer thinking than she had ever been in her life. Now, thinking, especially to one who tries it for the first time, is seldom or never a quite comfortable operation, and hence Helen was very near becoming actually uncomfortable. She was even on the borders of making the unpleasant discovery that the business of life, and that not only for
Sample complete. Ready to continue?